I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Stephanie Piché. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I just poured myself a glass of red wine, and I'm looking out the window at all the snow that I'm sure that you don't get to see.
I don't. But we definitely, I'd let you know, just in case the wine gets too cold, that we do have in our draft email Caribbean Sunshine that can be sent at any time you need it.
How convenient.
Stephanie, tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
I am in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. So I'm about, with our new highways now, about 4 hours north of Toronto.
All right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
I am a brand new podcaster myself. So I've been trying to take my love of food, wine, and travel. I've been teaching here in Sudbury for a number of years, and I found I wanted to be able to teach more people. And the easiest way to do that is through audio media like podcasting.
Well, I definitely get to sample a ton of podcasts, and I did not see an episode number on your podcast. And had I seen one, I would have been probably guessing if you had really started or if this had been your third podcast, because you're doing an amazing job, I believe.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That coming from you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now tell us the name of your podcast.
It is called Flying for Flavour.
Where did you come up with that name from?
I believe it was a few names that I had thrown around for my blog that's on my website. But I think I love the alliteration of it. I like the idea that it's easy to remember. And it pretty much sums up the entire process of culinary tourism is kind of what my claim to fame is. Basically traveling the world and eating and drinking and then coming home and sharing it with everyone.
Who did you learn that from? The way to eat and drink from?
Definitely self-taught. It's not, I mean, I'm trying to teach other people to go out and experience similar things, trying new flavors, meeting new people, seeing new sights. And the best way for me to do that is to experience those things on my own and then come back and give little samples or little taste to people who may want to take that next step and try something new.
Almost definitely. I think we left out that you don't just go sample things, you cook as well, don't you?
I certainly do. I used to own a catering business for, I guess it was about 8 or 9 years. And I branched that catering business into a personal branded website all about food, wine, and travel. And the website, because I'm pretty much a one-woman show, has kind of taken up most of my time, especially now with the podcast. So unfortunately, the catering side of my business had to close about a year and a half ago, but now I get to focus more on the teaching. So I'm teaching cooking, teaching wine, and I'm hoping to branch that out into online courses starting in 2018.
All right. All the best with that.
Thanks.
Now that you've been doing this, why will you continue to repeat the skills that you share on the podcast?
I think it's always been my nature to learn new things, experience new things. I'm always excited to deep dive into a new topic. If I don't know something, I'm very eager to research it until I actually figure it out and teach myself how to do it. And then I love the challenge of being able to teach those same things to somebody else in an easy to understand format. So basically translating something that may seem complicated or a little scary and turn it into something that's a little bit more easy to digest. Pardon the pun.
Oh, you should definitely say pun intended, right?
That's right.
Well, definitely, where's the best place for someone to connect with you? You talked about your website. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's very simple. StephaniePiché.ca. One of the reasons that I started that website was because when I had my catering business, it was, of course, branded separately. But I noticed that every time that somebody was recommending my company to other people, they weren't referencing my business name. They were always referencing my personal name. So I realized that my personal brand seemed to be shining more than just the website. And because of the catering business, there were so many other things that I wanted to do. I think that having that one central location where I can offer information, updates on an ongoing basis, and as I'm learning new things, I'll be able to have the website grow to wherever I need it to be.
All right, all right. Well, again, Stephanie Piché.ca, pretty well done. Tell us what is one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please?
I have started saying no. I know that there's a lot of encouragement out there for people to say yes to more things, and I love that as well. But I think it's part of being a woman, especially a woman in business. I've noticed that I always had a hard time saying no to requests and favors and contracts. And I started saying no in the catering business when I didn't feel a contract was a right fit for me or my business. And the more I started doing it and only choosing the things that made me happy, it really made it easier, believe it or not, to say no after that. So now I'm noticing that the world doesn't fall apart just because I say no, and it makes things a lot easier going forward.
How does it make you feel?
I feel empowered. It's kind of nice to be able to be the one making my own decision and taking ownership of that. And sometimes I actually just feel relief because occasionally I was saying yes to things that I was just pleasing other people. And even though that it was not great for me, maybe physically, emotionally, or even just business wise. So I was making the wrong decisions just because I didn't want to upset anyone.
Why would you suggest it to someone out there? Or in fact, not why would you suggest it, but please do suggest to someone out there why they should do what you've done by setting your boundaries.
That's a good way of putting it, setting up boundaries. I know that I'm a people pleaser, and I know that a lot of women out there naturally tend to be that way. And sometimes women are also telling me that they always feel that they didn't really want to do something in the first place and they regret not saying no. And I just wanted to encourage people that by saying no when you really mean it, it actually does feel kind of good. And then when you do find something that you want to say yes to, it makes those yeses even much more clear.
There's a middle name in that you have. Is it Pechkoff?
Oh, Pechkoff. Yes, that's my maiden name, Pechkoff.
All right. I was wondering what that meant.
I keep that on LinkedIn because I get to connect with people from many years ago that I want people to reach out to me. Correct.
That's a great idea. Well, amazing audience, you're hearing it live from Stephanie Piché. Again, you can check her out. She is the podcast host of Flying for Flavour. Stephanie, this has been a great pleasure. I have no idea why I just said that, but it's because I'm probably having bugs in my head. Stephanie, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Stephanie, what is your earliest childhood memory?
It's funny you mentioned blue. I had to give it some thought. I have to admit that I don't usually remember things too far back into my childhood. But the first thing that popped into my brain was the color of my bedroom on our first family home. It was hot pink. And I've never been a fond of pink girl. That's just not my style. But I remember because it was so bright, and I think I used to host little tea parties in there. Really? But it was my room. And as much as I'm not crazy about the color now, I think that my parents chose it because it suited my personality. It was bright and lively and made people happy when they saw it.
That's intriguing. How old were you in this memory?
I'm guessing it was just when we first moved in, so I was probably 3 or 4.
Wow. So how do you see, and I'm guessing how do you see this memory connecting to who you are today?
I think it was one of those things because of the atmosphere and having the little tea parties in that room. It was my own space. And I really think that having your own space and that bright color, it got to be what I wanted it to be. And I'm finding even now, as I'm getting older, I'm finding I really love having my own space that I can control, that surrounded by things that make me happy. And it's just kind of like getting my own room to myself all over again.
Yeah, I love it. Let me add something. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my
Oh,
mind?
yes, please.
I love the idea of boundaries, the four walls, the opportunity to go through or allow who in when necessary. So it's not a fortress, but it definitely creates an opportunity for those that you allow in when you are ready for them to be in. And I love that you're setting those boundaries now. You spoke of it earlier on. To see that bright pink line being drawn as to who can enter to this tea party or not is pretty fascinating, how that connects to who you are today right now for me.
Oh, it does. You actually just summed it up very quickly for me. Much better than my long notes.
Well, Stephanie, if we fast forwarded to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
I had to think about that. I would have to say, is it okay if I choose two songs?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make them quick. So both of them are around the same time. So it shows two different sides of my personality, I guess. So one of them was I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Right.
I think it was the first time I actually choreographed a full production number with my girlfriends on the stage at grade school. And that was the first time. And I loved the song because it was not girly, even though I was always surrounded by girly things. It was a rocker chick. It was something new and different and edgy. And there was a woman lead singer in a rock and roll band, which I thought was very intriguing. So it used to really get me all pumped up. And then the other one was during the summer. Again, that softer side, I really fell in love with Jack and Diane by John Cougar. That was before he was Mellencamp. And because it was like the summer anthem. And around that age, I think all of my friends and I were just at that time where we're starting to look forward to having relationships and, really start being girls.
I love it. All right, my friend. Well, we have arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Stephanie?
All right, let's go.
Stephanie, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not one person specifically.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
One son.
Do you believe in God?
Sometimes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I have a few, but they don't know each other.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
If you say TV, yes, but for research only.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer, more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I probably average about 8 hours a day. I'm a one-woman show, so I live on all my devices, unfortunately.
If you, Stephanie, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Stephanie Piché, what would you say that is?
I am an experiencer.
Love it. She flies for flavor. Stephanie, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I would like to encourage everyone to try something new.
Love it, Stephanie Piché. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.